Okay, now that we've got sort of the foundation of the website set up, we can start having a bit of fun with this. And we're going to start in this video, we're going to make the hero image area. We're also going to make this text more of a, I guess you could say more of a decorative piece. It's going to be the hero title. It's going to look really good. And we're going to sort of clean this up now so that it starts to look a little more polished. And the first thing we're going to do for this to happen is we are going to manipulate all of the items within the hero class. Okay, then we're going to look at how to actually edit a class. We're going to head back over to our style sheet and we're going to go under the body area. And this time we are going to put a period and then the word or the name of our class, which in this case is hero. Okay, the period at the start of that is telling CSS to look for a class name. And so because we called it class hero, that dot hero will tell it to look for that. All right. Now, one thing I like to do is I like to see exactly what my changes are doing. So what I like to do to my hero or any class that I'm using on a divider is I like to put a border. And I will delete this after, but for right now I'm going to put a border. It's going to be 1 pixel wide. It's going to be solid, which means it's not going to have any breaks in the line, and it's going to be black. And I'm going to save that. And you're going to see on this side that we now have a black border that appears around the edge of that divider. Now again, because it is a hero class, it's only going to affect the things within the hero class divider. All right, this is telling us that because it's .hero and it's only going to affect things that are labeled hero. Now, the nice thing about classes is you can use them for multiple things. You can apply a hero class to almost anything in the site. You just put class hero and all of the things within here will be applied to it. All right, it allows you to customize parts of the site separately from other parts of the site. So first of all, let's put a height to this thing. So we're going to put height. We're going to maybe set it to 400 pixels, which is a nice height. We're going to save that. You're going to now see that that expands to 400 pixels on the height. We're going to put a picture in the background because, again, this is our hero image. That's what we want. Now, remember, we're going to delete border, so I'm going to maybe give a space because I know I'm going to take it out after once I'm happy with how it looks. Let's put a background image. So background image and colon. We need to tell it where that background image is. So URL is how we do that. Round bracket, it tells us to do that. Now here's something tricky. Here's something that screws people up, I think, once you think about it, it'll make sense. But we need to tell it where to find the image. If I was just to type images, it's not going to know what I'm talking about. It's not going to know where that folder is because if you look, the style CSS folder is not inside the same folder as where images is. It's inside of a folder called CSS. So what we need to do is we need to put 2 dots, which tells it to go outside of that folder. Okay, so now think about it. We just left the CSS folder. We're in the same folder now as index, which is where the images are. So now we can put /, and you see all of a sudden now it knows what we're talking about. We're going to look for images. And we're going to look for the image called Castle Rock. Okay, just like that. One thing I noticed that it didn't do, which it should have done, is it should have put a single quotation, not a double quotation, a single quotation around the name. Okay, so do that. Put a single quotation and then a semicolon after, because otherwise it's not going to work. All right, and then when you hit save, you're going to see the picture now appears as a background within that div. Again, it is very specific. If you don't have it in the right format, it will not work, okay? Again, these 2 dots are very important. The quotation's very important. The round brackets, everything has to be set properly for this to work. Now, you'll notice that the picture kind of looks bad. It just kind of looks like it's slapped in there. And so we can do a couple things with that. We can do a couple changes. The first things we can do is change the size. So we're going to put background size. And one that I like to use, there's a whole bunch of options. There's auto, contain, and cover. I like to use cover because what cover does is it basically covers the entire available space with the picture that we're putting into it. And if I save that, you're going to see that that picture is going to shrink down and it's going to cover the available space. If I take this browser window and I enlarge it, you will see that it's going to change how it covers the background, okay, based on the size of the window. And again, that's really important because when you're on a computer, sometimes it's going to be a bigger resolution or a smaller resolution. If you're on a phone, that's going to change. There's a couple other things I like to do. We can change how the background is positioned. So I put background attachment, and I'm going to say for the background attachment, before we do that, let's do background position. Okay, which is how the background is positioned. I'm going to put centered or center. And what that's going to do is you won't see much of a difference other than when it changes, it always stays in the center. Okay, it's not going to show you the sky or whatever, more of the ground or whatever. It's just going to stay centered within that window all the time. And one last thing I like to put is the actual position, the attachment itself. That was what I was putting in before. The background attachment is how is the picture, is it fixed to this page? That means like, does it move when you scroll? Or by default, it's just set to scroll, so it'll just scroll with the page. I like to have it fixed. That way when you scroll, the picture kind of stays locked in position. It kind of looks cool. You can change this all after if you don't like it. We can't really test that. Maybe I can. Maybe I can go like this and then you can kind of see it. I didn't save. Yeah, see how it stays locked in position, but everything else scrolls? I like that. You can change it to however you want, but I like that. Okay, so there's a few more choices set, and again, now the picture is in there. If you don't like it, if you think it looks bad, change it. Okay, you could change this from center to top, and that's going to always have it locked to the top. So whatever you like, you can change these and tweak it. Next, what we're going to do is we are going to add some padding to the image. And I want to explain the difference between padding and margins because you're going to see both show up all the time. If you look back at the body here, we see padding and margin. So let me explain the difference. Margins are basically where the box is going to start. It's going to create white space. So watch, if I go margin 10 pixels, we're going to end up with a white border around everything because what it did is it created a margin of 10 pixels around the entire box. And it basically shrunk our box. However, if I put padding of 10 pixels, padding 10 pixels, and I save it, you'll notice that the box stays on the outside, but the content has moved inwards. Okay, so the padding allows everything to stay the way that it is, but it moves the content in. And that one I feel is really powerful, really useful for when we want to position things a certain way. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the padding separately for the top, left, right, bottom if I wanted to. Whatever I want to do, I'm going to change the way that it is padded. Now, one other thing to mention before we start messing around with the padding is you'll notice that by default, anything inside of a div is positioned to the top. And most times you're not going to want it always at the top. You might want it at the bottom or in the middle or whatever. So the way that we can do that is after the attached background, we can put a little attribute here that basically says align the content. So basically we're saying align the content of this box or of this divider to wherever we want. I'm going to go center. and you're going to see that the text will move down to the middle of the box now. Okay, so now it is centered within this box. Okay, so no matter what, when this scale changes, it's always going to be locked to the middle of that divider. Okay, that's what we want. Now let's play a little bit with the padding. Again, you know, we could wait till after we do the next step. Maybe we will, but for right now, one thing I do want is to have left and right padding set up properly. So let's do that. We're gonna go padding dash left. We'll set it to 20 pixels. And padding dash right, also set to 20 pixels. We can get rid of just the padding 10, get it out of there for now. We're going to adjust it after anyways. We're going to save it. And now you're going to see that we got a little more space on the bottom, or on the left and the right. Okay, again, let's say we wanted more space on the right. We could just increase this. Again, you don't have to do this if you don't want. I'm just showing you that that's going to give us more space because we're going to pad it further on the right side. Okay, let's just keep them even for now. Now, this may not look that great just yet, to be honest. It's really hard to read. It's brutal, actually. But we've got our hero image in. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to mess with this section where we basically have the hero title. All right. But again, I think we've done a lot in this video, so we're going to save that for the next one. Again, you can play around with these values, see how it changes things. Again, this is creating a div, positioning a div. This is the basic stuff. We're going to get into some more advanced stuff right away. But anyways, save what you got, and then we'll carry on in a moment.